Let's go to Canberra now, and joining us live is the Senator Katy Gallagher. Senator, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. I want to start here with this breaking news overnight that's come from COP26. It's an interesting development and potentially quite significant. China's now calling climate an existential crisis, the world's largest emitter of carbon. It's formed this pact with the US to share technology. There's been no change on targets when it comes to China anyway. What's your thoughts on China's language and that whole pact?
Morning, Pete. Thanks for having me on. It seems you always get the breaking stories in this early morning slot.
Often outside of your portfolio as well. But anyway, I just wanted to get...
Exactly.
I do want to get your thoughts on that.
Exactly. Look, I think from what I've read in the media this morning and what I've heard on the radio, all I can say is I think it's a very welcome development to have the world's two biggest economies joining together and making a commitment around, dealing with greenhouse gas emissions and reducing CO2 emissions. I think that's all. It's clearly in the world's interest to have the two largest economies working together and making this commitment. And I think it probably strengthens some of the work that's being done over in Glasgow at the moment to have this statement made there. It shows that they're serious and that they will commit to doing it sooner rather than later. I think the emphasis on working together in the 2020s is really important because we know it's this decade that's going to make the difference to how we get to net zero by 2050.
Yeah, and there's also been a push from the summit overnight too for certain countries, including Australia, to do more in the short term. If you win the election next year, do you need to be more ambitious when it comes to targets for 2030?
Well, I think we've been clear that we urge the government to go to Glasgow with a more ambitious target than the one that they have. So I think you can read into that we will be wanting to do more and we will make that clear before the election. I mean, Anthony's made that clear, Chris Bowen's made that clear. I think we all understand, everyone apart from the government, it seems, understands that the next decade is critically important if we are going to be serious about net zero by 2050. You can't do it in 2049 or 2045. We need to be making the changes in the next decade.
Yeah.
So we'll be clear about that in the lead up to the election. We're not at the point where we're releasing that yet, but we are working hard on it. Chris Bowen is working hard on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I asked you the same question 2 weeks ago, but do you want to see it? I'm sure you're going to give me the same answer here. But do you want it to be more than 35% of 2005 levels?
Yes, I think you did ask me the same question, and I've seen other people on Sky this week being asked the same question as well. Look, I think what we're doing and the commitment we've made is we will make it clear what that our medium-term plan is, the roadmap to get there. We have been urging the government to be more ambitious. We do understand people want to know where Labor sits as well, and we understand that this will be an important issue going into the next campaign. So, we are finalising that now. We said wait till after Glasgow. You can see that that's a sensible approach, even with today's announcement and the negotiations that are going on around, perhaps a statement about asking people to update 2030 next year, that for those countries that haven't made a commitment. I think all of that shows the sense in holding until the end of this conference before we finalise what we plan to do. But it will be serious, it will be meaningful, and there will be a roadmap to get there.
OK, government is going to need Labor's support when it comes to getting this $1 billion tech fund across the line that's a split between public and private money. Is it going to get Labor's support?
Pete, we'll have a look at it. We haven't been inclined to support changes that the government's tried to make. I mean, they tried to abolish the Clean Energy Finance Corporation. They've tried to shift money from renewable energy into, non-renewable energy projects, and we haven't been supportive of that. I can see that the government is now not even supportive of its own policy, with threats of crossing the floor and not supporting it in the Senate. So they're in a right mess over it. But I think Chris Bowen said we'll have a look at it. If it's genuinely new money, because this has been the thing in the past, it's been taking money from one area, including renewable energy, to shift to another. And I see that the New South Wales Minister is also not supportive. So we need to see how it stacks up, basically. All we've seen is the release yesterday and the comments the Prime Minister made. And frankly, we don't take what he says as gospel. I think we need to read the detail.
Okay, Katy Gallagher, we'll leave it there today, but appreciate your time as always. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.